the Board of Education regular meeting for November 19th. If everyone can stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mrs. Capabianca?
Here.
Mayor Carbone? Here. Mr. Hinman is not in attendance. Mrs. Holman here. Mr. Kisco?
Here.
Mr. Nargi?
Here.
Mr. Knight? Here. Mr. Rader? Mr. Tebow?
Here.
Mr. Traub will be late. Ms. Aird? Was that a year?
Here. That was a year.
Okay. Mr. Becerra?
Here.
Mr. Campolita?
Here.
Mrs. Klacko?
Here.
Ms. Lubomsky?
No, she's at the celebration, superintendent celebration tonight of the Whitfield County.
Mr. Potter? We have a student representative, Anne-Marie Ferrara?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the board invites members of the community to speak on topics to be addressed in the agenda or on other topics of interest. Individuals wishing to make comments are requested to fill out the speaker sign-up sheet, including name and address, which must be stated at the beginning of your comment. The board will not allow comments regarding specific staff members or personal grievances. Courtesy is expected in this limited public forum. The participating time will be limited to 3 minutes per person and 10 minutes overall to guarantee effective operation of the entire meeting. The first speaker is Luigi Ocasio.
Hello. Do I just move this up?
Yep, go ahead and speak up.
State your name and your address.
Luigi Ocasio, and I live at 310 Roosevelt Avenue, Torrington, Connecticut. My name is Luigi Ocasio. I am 17 years old, and I've been a student at Torrington Public Schools since the 6th grade. I attended both Torrington Middle and Torrington High Schools and feel that I have received quality education at both. As a senior, I have applied to the United States Military Academy in the University of Connecticut. Ultimately, whichever school I attend, my goal is to become a United States Army officer to pursue a military career, as well as become a neurosurgeon in my line of work. Why I appear before you, the Board of Education, is that I would like to suggest for more representation of the Latin community. Currently, 21% of our school population is of Hispanic descent. I feel that we as a whole are not represented on the board, and I wish for you to consider that while filling up new positions. Please consider the idea of students and families who have lived here for many years, who want to become contributors to our Torrington community and our schools, to be rightfully represented among our community leaders. As an immigrant who is currently enlisted in the United States National Guard, as well as completed basic training and obtained my citizenship through the service of this great nation, I feel as though the Hispanic community is often pushed to the side and forgotten. We represent a large majority of the city and should be heard through the voices of our leaders. Many other families and students aspire for a greater life and have ambitious and hopeful dreams like myself. All I ask is that we are treated as equals and, as I stated earlier, be represented on a grander scale. Thank you for listening.
Next speaker is Jessica Richardson.
I wrote my name on that sheet in error. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, information sharing session, student report from Emery.
She could do the report from, oh, never mind, I'll move this mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Emery. Just wait a minute.
There you go.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I will need approval of the agenda.
I need to amend the agenda.
Okay. So you want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to amend the agenda to include a action item for the approval of the nurse's contract. And accept the agenda as as stated it with the rest of them.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Unanimous?
Excuse me for a second. Are you going to want to make your presentation on the nurses' contract in executive session? Or are you going to?
No, I can present it however, during the discussion portion. It's pretty much a exact reflection. So.
Do you want to amend your motion?
I do. To include the action item on the nurse's contract. I have that right again?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor? I'm actually going to also ask if you guys want to move the introduction and appointment of the new board member from switch 4 and 5 around. The chair isn't here. I don't have any information on this. Does anybody want to second? All those in favor? Opposed?
I just didn't know.
You're abstaining?
Yes.
He voted in favor.
Pardon me, who's second? Who's?
Okay. So now we will go to you, Emery. Thank you for coming, by the way.
I'm going to start with the music report. On November 28th, the brass choir from the THS will be performing at the Torrington tree lighting. On December 7th, the Torrington High School marching band will be in the Christmas Village parade. And on December 10th, the Torrington High School Symphonic Band is holding their winter concert in the gym. The next night, December 11th, the chorus and orchestra concert will be held there also. The National Honor Society is currently running their canned food drive for the local chapter of FISH. The goal this year is to exceed last year's total of 1,055. 8 Torrington High School students were honored Monday night at the Torrington City's Council meeting for their participation in the THS Summer Internship Program. The students worked in economic development, planning and zoning, elderly nutrition, and the mayor's office. The parent-teacher conferences at THS are going well. There's a high level of attendance from parents who are signing up using an online program. The Torrington High School National Honor Society recently tapped the following students into the chapter: Catherine Basone, Sarah Carr, Alex Church, Ariel Delgado, Maya Giarnis, Tom Kalaki, Alondra Medina, and Cassie Peruz. The Torrington High School boys soccer team finished second in the Naugatuck Valley League. CIAC Unified Sports teams competed in their NBL tournament for indoor soccer at Torrington High School on November 26th. The AFJROTC performed the annual Veterans Day ceremony at the Torrington High School Flagstaff on Monday, November 10th. Thank you to Mr. Kisco for attending. A new club at Torrington High School, started by English teacher Jada Mattiello, is focused on female empowerment. Other new clubs at the high school include the Engineering Club and the Cooking Club. Torrington High School junior Amor Berger participated in a Walk for Diabetes in October with the sponsorship of more than 100 students and faculty. Amor is also doing a spotlight on the doctor working on the imminent cure for type 1 diabetes for her journalism class. The Torrington High School staff and student body recently collaborated to define their core values as a community. The chosen acronym for THS is Tradition, Honor, Success. Is there any questions?
it was asked, just how well are PHS students performing on AP classes, and how many scored a score of 3 or higher. And you can see this is the 5-year rate where, number of students who participated and the percentage who scored 3 or higher. And then it shows in how they performed in Connecticut, and then they also compared globally. And as you turn the page, you can see that we also took a look at within Litchfield County. As you can see, there's many, many more students who participate in AP classes at Torrington High School as compared to the other towns within the county. And yes, we are the largest one, but we still have a great number of students participating. And here's also compared Torrington to our demographic area across the state. All districts are placed within a district reference group. And when you look at Torrington, we offer many more and have many more students participating in AP classes than the other towns in our DIRG. And they include towns such as Middletown, East Hartford, Bristol, Stratford. Can't name all 13, but just to take a look. Then you also, want to go take a look at our SAT piece, and this is just a short summary of the students and their profile who graduated, or who are the seniors in the class of 13-14. And as you can see, the percentage who went on to 4-year schools, 2-year schools, entered employment right away, military, and we're pursuing other options at this time. And it also shows the percentage, the number and percentage of students who took the ACT, and the number and percentage of students who took the SAT. And again, on the bottom, it's UConn early college education courses. And then also the response with what colleges the class of 2014 were accepted to.
Discussion. I brought this up a year ago, approximately, about the AP students, and I basically was informed that the students last year weren't doing as well as in previous times at the high school. I think the results, the data that you shows approximately a 20-25% decline in the 2014 class from previous classes, or the previous high of in 2011. And if you look at the state average stayed consistent for that period of time. And it goes to an issue that I think the board should always be looking at, is the quality of education that our school system is providing. And when we see that you have a drastic drop in a year with the test scores, I think the board should try to get some answers from the superintendent what's going on in the school district. Is it, I have no idea what's going on. All I know is that there definitely seems, based on the data, that something is causing these results to decline, and we need to discuss it, and I think we need to discuss it. And what can the board do to through policy and through budgeting, tried to raise those results to the standard in which they were at one time.
I think one of the things you have to look at, though, are, it's remained constant students who are involved in AP courses across the 5 years. 90, you know, it was between 97 and 76 as you look across. And then the number of exams, and last year there were more exams taken than any previous year. And also how many, you know, the concern is how many scored a 3 or better. And when you look in 2012, there were a few more students who scored better, but it was a much higher percentage. You know, so is it good that we still have the same number of students taking the test every year? Yes, because 97 is a little less than half of our class. Because if you look at, let's see, maybe a third, hold on, let me just check. 242, so 97 is
Right.
242, so at least we have still a third of the class participating in rigorous courses, and they're extremely rigorous. Which is critical. And I will look in why not as many passed. We can look at grades, we can look at cues over the years. It just may be, you know, it's a shot, one shot on one day to take these tests.
Right, and again, this could be just a one-year aberration, but I'd hate to think that the school district is going to see a steady decline going into the future. And again, I think the tests are accumulation of the student's entire academic career. So when we look at these types of what seniors are actually doing test-wise, I don't think that we should always just focus what happened to them as 12th graders. I think we need to look at curriculum going from kindergarten, preschool, and make sure that we're creating a foundation for when these students become seniors, they're going to perform at their best.
And by third grade, how many are reading on grade level by third grade will determine that. It determines who's going to drop out, who, and we are following that closely. Where our third, you know, where our elementary students are. But I mean, we follow every grade level.
Okay, thank you.
But it's good that at least we still are maintaining the number of students who are participating in this rigorous class.
Yeah, I was just, Andrew got me thinking for a second. I'd also like to see the numbers for the 2014 class of the seniors that are in AP to see how many transferred in during that school year. Because it's, correct, because in 2013, there were 96 AP students that took 166 exams, 61, looks like 61 of those students got a 3 or better for a 63.5 average. If you look at 2014, that's 97 students that took 170 exams, only 44 of those scored a 3 or better.
Okay,
so there's a significant drop-off from 2013 to 2014. So my curiosity is, did we get an influx of new students who hadn't been through the previous several years at THS that may have caused that, and that would skew our numbers, or are these all students that basically have been here for the 3 years prior?
I know there were 2 sophomores who took 2 tests each, so.
Again,
No,
that's why I just want to see who was actually here prior, and if, just that out of 97 students, 20 of them, turns out they moved in the last year and didn't have a previous experience in Torrington. Well, I want to know that, okay, out of that 97 number, 20 were not. If 96 of them were, and there was only 1 transfer, well, that's more of a realistic representation. But unfortunately, looking at the data, but that was a very good idea and point you brought up, so thank you.
And perhaps what the data doesn't tell us is what year the students were who took the test, because they may not all have been seniors who took the AP courses and the test.
Very true.
Breakdown. I know there were 2 sophomores. And,
Cheryl?
Yeah.
I know we talked about in the past having guidance possibly track where students are accepted to, even if they're not attending those colleges, mostly due to financial reasons. Does this list represent all the acceptances?
this list represents all the acceptances.
Okay, that were
Class-
reported.
Yes.
So this assumes that students report to guidance where they were accepted.
On the school profile, it does have a breakdown of the number of students and what AP classes they took. So it does say 45% of the seniors scored 3 or higher. So I guess half of, I'll find out.
And again, the reason why I think it's good that the board looks at this either periodically or at least once a year is so that the board can get input from you as we go forward in the budget process to actually state, this is where we potentially should try to increase some of our resources into areas in which we become more deficient or less proficient.
Any other questions regarding?
I just wanted to point out on that report that the class of 2014 at the bottom received $61,700 in local scholarship money. That's pretty incredible. So thank you to all our community for putting that money out there for these kids. Yeah.
In the next piece in your packet is, I brought to your attention last year that we were going to have to go through a regional calendar, not for 15-16, but definitely for 16-17. But in your packet is the suggested calendar, which follows the one that we've been using as far as beginning dates, professional development dates, vacations. It clearly follows what we've been implementing over the past 4 years. But I wanted to share that with you and to ask, would you prefer Torrington's own calendar for next year? Or does this one look to your satisfaction? We can put in when we do conferences and, our professional, early dismissal professional development day like we're doing this year. But these are days that we will hold to. The only difference will come at the end of the year if towns within the community require more snow days than another. I put in a copy of the law, the Public Act 14-38, which requires us to do this.
Now, we usually try to marry our calendar up to our local technical schools because of busing city. Will they be using this calendar?
I have not gotten an answer to that question yet.
Okay. Okay.
They don't have Columbus Day or Veterans Day as holidays on this calendar?
Boy, that was flying around in the emails, because some districts take it and some districts do not. Okay, so that's a question to go back.
And then the President's Day in January that we normally get.
Yes, that's
The President's Day would be February.
February. That's the
February,
16th.
Martin Luther King Day is what I'm thinking.
Yep, yes.
You're going to school on Thanksgiving as well?
Yeah, I guess we're
Are
gonna
we?
go on
Yes,
Thanksgiving.
this
Yes,
is
we
12,
are.
15, 16, yeah.
So,
Well, I guess, you know, I would say no, not for Thanksgiving. Just don't know, is it the 19th? And no, it'll be the 26th and 27th next year.
is it my understanding this is just to try to get this recesses, the week-long breaks
Yes.
simultaneous?
Yes. So wherever the Columbus Day, Veterans Day, and Martin Luther King, because those are federal holidays.
So just to make it clear, those are not days.
No.
I think we need to re-see this with it actually adjusted for our calendar. And it sounds like Tech hasn't said whether or not they're going to follow this. So we may have to wait until, what is it, February usually when they finally come out with their calendar?
No, more like April. The problem with this is a state mandate. I can't imagine that the state technical, I know I can't, but, you know. And I've asked if they have their calendar. And then on the back page is the 216, 217. It follows Easter, it's not Good Friday.
Right after or before?
Let's see, where is it? It's after Easter.
Both, well,
Yeah. And many districts have it leading up to Easter.
but it's after.
It's after.
So is it connected to this?
So then the Friday before would be Good Friday.
Correct.
Okay.
This is something like for this regional calendar, I think there's almost 20 school districts that are trying to work a compromise. I sat on the original one that they put together, and then it got torn apart, and came back and made a second one. This was the final.
Cheryl, what is the regional professional development that's on Saturday, the 27th?
That's what's offered through, which we'll call it, through Education Connection. They're doing that now.
So is that an added day for us?
Yes, the 27th, yes. That one's an added day, and February 16th we've had.
I think that's a typo, if I can interject what you're asking about. I think it's supposed to read May 26th is the regional PD day. See how it's shaded on the calendar?
Yeah.
I think that 27th over there is a typo.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
On May 27th?
See how it is?
For
here?
16,
So
Oh,
I was
okay.
looking, because here it says the 27th, so I was looking and
I
that's
think it's just a
Saturday.
copy.
Yeah, yeah.
John, did you have a question?
My point, yes, I was going to make the point that for this 15-16 school year, it's not mandatory that we adopt
No.
the RESC schedule.
No.
For the year after that, it will be, unless we have a conflicting union agreement, in which case we get another year. But I assume we don't have any of that. But we do not have to adopt the 15-16 calendar.
No.
There's no calendars in the contract.
So the 15-16 calendar is just a recommendation?
Yes. And then,
And 1670 is when it would become mandatory?
yes.
Just want to make sure I keep it straight.
You're doing a better job than I am. next piece is immigrant grant, and we are required to have approval of the Board of Education for this grant. We work with, the monies that we receive is work with students who have been in this country 3 years or less. Currently, we have 161 students in the district that meet that criteria. We have a large number at the high school, and so what we applied for last year and developed was a whole newcomers component. But we include tutoring. The total amount is an increase over last year that we'll be receiving. And it's on the last page. It's about $31,000. $31,983.
When you break down that tutors number, 25,165, approximately how many tutors and hours,
It's on that page, budget justifications.
whatever it's saying here, it's tutors, 25,165?
If you go to the
It's on
next
next
page.
page.
The
Go to the
next,
next
Oh,
page.
appendix C.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
So we provide one full tutor at the high school, because with the high school, you need to have someone to support students in their classes, because your bilingual teachers and your ESL teachers teach English, and when we try to keep these students in moving along in a regular math, science, and social studies classes, and you would have to have a certified bilingual / math teacher to be teaching math, and so what we do is we make it a co-teaching environment. So we have the tutor who can help the students with the English and the language of the content area, but then we have our regular content area teachers teaching.
Just what type of tutor has 7 hours that they can spend a week for 36 weeks doing this? I mean, what other jobs would they have that?
This is it. This is their main job. They might do translating, they may have a night job, but they're in the school all day.
That's tough.
Yes, it is.
John?
We could also be retired, you know? I'm wondering where we get these per hour figures, $45 for people to attend meetings, and the 32, I assume is standard for our tutors, is that what we pay?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
The
where's the
45 is a teacher, because it's after school.
And is that contractual, or is that just
That's
customary?
contractual.
It's contractual.
Technical.
Yeah. So I go to Dan.
Any other questions about the immigrant grant? The next piece is just, it's a one-pager, and this went out in the chamber connection, and it shows the picture and the names of students from Trenton Public Schools, specifically the middle and high school, who are participating in the Young Entrepreneurial Academy. And what this requires the students to do is to design a product, and then take a look at, and as they design the product, what goes into it. Is there an audience? Is there someone who would be interested in this product? What would it cost to make it mass, to serve the masses? How are you going to advertise and reach out to your audience? and they have to design everything from A to B for if it was a new business person and they had something, an idea that they want to become real. At the end, they present their product and their whole development process and how they'll, sell it to a group of business people in Torrington. And then if the business people feel that it's of quality, then students do get money to help them take it to the next level. And we focus on our 7th, 8th, and 12th grade. Just another little, did you see this? This is from our Community Learning Center. And what we've done, thanks to Bruno, he got it in the paper, but what we're doing is each Tuesday night, the group spearheaded by Paula Gajewski and Claudia Casio, is that they bring, on the first Tuesday of every month, they bring families, parents and children together, and they work on either literacy, numeracy skills. The second week, they work with early childhood education teachers from private preschools in the city. The third week, they work with licensed home daycare providers or unlicensed home daycare providers. And then the fourth week, they work with family caregivers. But each time it's always focused on the young child between the ages of 3 to 5 and what they can be doing to improve their literacy, numeracy, the skills about sitting and waiting your turn. Usually we have some really good books that we receive for free and through the Dolly Parton Foundation Library, and we hand those out. We make kits. We give them lists of songs that they can sing. We teach them the songs. We teach them finger plays. We teach them all those good things that you can do with young children in the home. And it's been very successful.
The Community Learning Center, is it part of our budget?
It's through grants. It's part of Torrington Public Schools, but it's all grant funded.
Okay. And their budget is approximately how much?
It goes up and down because
Because
the grants as they come in. I could get you the exact amount if you want.
Any other just curious.
Because they just got another like $5,000 grant for more books. I know the Northwest Community Foundation has been a real supporter of theirs and gives them, they receive $10,000 to $15,000 from them every year. And it's really, we target children of any home, because it is open to all parents and children, but we, target maybe children who do not have an early childhood experience and the people who are working with them. So then they're better prepared to enter kindergarten. I brought to you back in May, the concern from the state about the demographics of 2 of the schools in the district, and hopefully by the next meeting, I'll bring in to show you how we're planning to make that more balanced environment for children, and it with no cost to it. And how we can shift bus runs and move children between these 2 buildings and meet the requirement by the state. But I just want you to know, we talked about it in the fall, got another letter, well, actually I had a phone call, I don't have the letter yet, that I have to do a plan for them. And it also may involve another compliance issue with one of our in-district special education programs. So I'm looking to hit two birds with one stone, the demographic imbalance, and that our early childhood programs at each school, there isn't enough opportunity for these children to be with their peers. And that they are, it's limited just to children with special needs. And the state requires these children to be with all children.
So what does that actually mean?
What it means is, well, the two schools involved are Vogel and East. And we have to figure out just where we can pull children from. And we're working with the bus company, we're working with our database, where we can take children from. Move about 100 to 125 children from the Vogel area, catchment area, up to East. And then how many classrooms will that leave us with at Vogel that we could take the 3 programs at East that are, I'm going to say, not segregated, but are just for children with special needs, and how can we expand them into possibly 6 programs, or 6 classrooms, and provide other peers to participate.
Do we have the capacity at East to move 125 kids?
I did a walkthrough with Sue, but we have to move the preschool programs, the special education programs up there. But the good thing is that if we can do that, and we have to expand to have more community preschool programs, this is where the Smart Start money will come in, and we'll know about that in December 10th to the 15th, and that allows you to renovate, you know, a classroom, pay for a teacher, but that's why I'm not going to have that information until after the middle of December.
This has to do with us, with us not being in compliance with IDEA?
Yes, for young children,
Okay.
for children between the ages of 3 and 5. They haven't tagged us for that yet, but they're sniffing around, and I want to make sure before, you know, because we started a couple of years ago of pulling children and providing them services within the district, keeping them within their own community, but it's not diverse enough. So in order to create a more diverse early childhood program for children with special needs, this is what we have to do.
You just described redistricting without using the word. It would pertain to students from 2 schools, right? We're not thinking of any other.
No, I am not.
Redistrict.
And in fact, we're looking through the catchment area where we're on South Main, and it's, I'm going to say, to the left as you're going down to the east side, and those students who lived in that community, that part of the community, used to go to East prior to the last redistricting.
Okay. And nobody is suggesting that that this ethnic or other demographic imbalance is hurting any kid educationally, right? They just don't like the shade.
The numbers.
They average out to.
Right. No, there's no question about the educational program.
Because that would be idiotic. But
Right.
if
And
for some reason there's an abstract.
Yes.
No,
And
we
my,
have to discuss this.
why I wasn't, going into depth is because not only do we want to see where our catchment area will be, but we also want to have a plan when I come before the board, a plan of what are we going to do specifically so that there's an opportunity this summer for children to come together in their new school and everything else, what it's going to, the timeline to change a room, and how they'll fall, because we'll need 3 more classrooms, because right now, East classrooms are around 23, 24, and 3, 4, and 5, and we have 1-2 combo So that could be, right now we have a K1 combo, and next year it could become a 1 and a 2.
And this is restricted only to students with special needs?
No, this is all children.
Okay.
Okay, the children who are currently attending Vogel Wetmore, who we may move to East, and I do mean may, until we have a full program. No, that will be children, intact families,
Okay,
children.
I understand something somewhere.
Okay, it's the children who are, there are 3 pre-K classrooms, early childhood, ages 3 to 5, at East.
Okay.
And they service children with special needs. There's about 20 children altogether involved in those 3 programs. And those are the 3 classrooms that will have to move out of East.
Now I got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
And I'm trying to do it so that there's no change in buses. The parents are part of it, aware of it, and we bring them in early on. And we see if we get the grant money to revamp the classrooms at Vogel to make them, early childhood classrooms. Because there are not enough preschools in Torrington to, we integrate many of our children who are age 3 to 5, who are receiving special education support. We put them into our local preschool classrooms. Head Start, the Y, trying to think, Torrington Child Care Center, we have them across the district. These are children that we do not have in community settings. The preschools are run by Torrington Public Schools.
Is there any concern about moving more programs, district-wide programs into Vogel based on the number of programs that they're already housing for district-wide?
It's
Special programs, I guess is what.
If-
So if we move 120 regular students, for lack of a better word, out of Vogel up to East, and then we move 3 more special ed programs into Vogel.
Well, we'll be also adding, because we have to change those rooms, those 3 classrooms to probably 6, so that we have equal balance. We'll be adding more kids to Vogel too,
Right.
without special needs.
Right, and I'm just looking at it from the perspective of the number of special programs that are already housed in that building,
Right.
and then,
Well, that's another reason why we need Southeast.
So this move would be only until Southeast is up and running, and then they would move again?
Yes. And we found a grant through the state that will allow us to do, facility improvements through OPM. So we just keep trying to find ways so that it'll be no cost, low cost for that place.
when will anything relative to Southeast come to the board?
Probably after January 1st. Right now, we have 4 grants pending.
Right, but I'm not positive that the board has reviewed or approved any conceptual use of that building at this point. So I just would like to see the board look at what the plans are for that building before we're securing grants, to make sure that the board is in agreement that that's what they believe to be the proper use of that building.
Yeah, it hasn't changed much from when we presented it this spring. So we can have Joe come back.
Right, because the board never really,
I don't know if you need Joe to come back, it's more of what the intended use of the building is, not really the floor plan layout, it's more of what your thought process.
Definitely for preschool classrooms that will service.
Why don't you,
Okay.
for December, put together a presentation for what the intended, what's gonna happen in Southeast?
Because if you change the use of the school, one of the things you're gonna have to do is bring it into compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, what, the Southeast?
Yes, for Southeast.
It's on one floor. It's That's one of the beauties of it.
Well, that is part of the funding that we went for, Bill. Is,
I've not been in Southeast, so I don't know what it looks like, so.
part of what it was is the cost that we had of roughly $4 million
Okay.
is to bring it up to ADA compliance, change the kitchens,
Okay.
redo some classrooms.
I just want to make sure that, one of the things that it has to happen is if you change the use, it needs to be in compliance with ADA, and it sounds like it already is.
Yeah, we couldn't open it if it wasn't.
No, you couldn't.
Mr. Pacetta, snow removal contract. You want to help Dave, or you just want to keep him under the bus alone?
I could go, you want to come, Dave?
He's gonna mow me right over, right?
It's got a small table.
Sorry. No, I'm good here. We brought together the contract for service that was requested at Budget Committee. Also, a cost comparison to snow removal was brought forward. On top of that, we also included the RFP that was put out to bid. We received the bids. Lowest qualified bidder was at $99,900 for 3 years with no escalation to the contract. Some of the questions that Mr. Kisco had asked at budget or last board meeting that I was not present at, we corrected them at budget and included them in the service contract. So I would, once again, budget moved it to come to board. I will answer any questions that I possibly can.
First question. On this list here of costs, I'm positive what page it's actually on the computer, but it says truck replacement and in parentheses 3, and then it's 70,000.
Yes.
What does that mean?
We went out for pricing on 3 trucks that are comparable to the one that has been taken out of service, the one next year that they're recommending to take out of service, and then possibly a year after that. So those are larger trucks, about the 550, 650 range, for tonnage classification, if you will, with sanders, dump bodies, plows, that type of equipment.
So truck replacement, 70,000, that's for one?
That's for one vehicle.
Fully equipped vehicle?
Correct.
And you're projecting that you would need 1 per year for the next 3?
That's
bring the fleet
that's pretty much basically, yeah, to bring the fleet back up to where it should be after we start removing vehicles that are presently in the fleet.
Okay. And the life of one of these vehicles is what?
Presently, the one that was just taken out of service is 10 years old.
So after 3 years, we will have a new fleet, which should last us 10 years. 10 to 13.
Half of your fleet. There's 6 trucks total.
And
You're replacing half of them.
And what's the other life expectancy of the other 3?
One would be 8 years, and the other 2 would be not very long.
The smaller vehicles will tend to get eaten up a little bit quicker. You're going to maybe get 8 years out of those, like.
So eventually we'd have to replace 2 more vehicles.
Eventually, you're going to have to. Yeah, it's going to be a continuous cycle to replace vehicles.
But not at the $70,000.
Not at the $70,000 range. You're probably going to be more into the $35,000 range, you know, the half price. But you're not going to get the same type of vehicle.
Okay. So this nets you $57,000 after 3 years. But what you really need to look at is what it nets the district after 10 years. Because if your life expectancy was 10 years, then do you see in years 4 through 10 that minus 70,000, and that would change that savings dramatically.
Well, on your cost sheet, Dave, I have a question for you to piggyback Andrews. The contract includes loader work, correct?
Loader work is not included in the contract because that's a specialty item that I did not put in there.
Oh, okay.
But the loader is in the contract, but not in my cost comparison. Excuse me, I misspoke there. I do apologize.
It is in the contract.
It is in the contract. Loader work is something we've used in emergency, that we've had to use in blizzard conditions, or if you remember, there was one year that it just, a few years back, it wouldn't stop snowing from December to February. Everybody panicked with their roofs, if you recall. We had to go up there and do engineering analysis if we had too much weight load and everything. So we had to hire loaders that year to remove snow. And those loaders run anywhere around $200 an hour. At 10 hours a day, that's a couple $1,000s a machine. And if you've got 3 or 4 machines on site, they're going to run for 2 or 3 days, just moving snow back, because our plowing equipment does not handle that particular. In the contract, that's actually in the contract. We have that figured in there for the contractor.
What approximately have we spent over the last 2 years on loaders? 3 years?
I'm going to say somewhere around $40,000. I mean, I'll take that lightly. That's an estimate.
So that loader work is part of this contract, so they spend how many hours, how many dollars, that would be included in this $99,000?
Yes, yeah, $99,900 actually, yes.
So that impacts that savings number by 40,000.
And that was my neglect to put that in that cost comparison.
So that 157 is 177.
Correct.
So the entire cost is just under $100,000?
Yes, it is.
My other question is,
I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
my other question is, why was this not presented at budget time, that we were going to have these truck replacement needs this year and weren't discussed at our budget?
The truck was taken offline this past summer. I had all intentions of trying to repair it, didn't realize that it was that far gone. And what's happening is the trucks are basically rusting away. It's difficult to wash them, because if you try to wash them, they freeze, and then you can't get in them the next day to use them. They sit outside. They're constantly in the weather. For instance, I had brought a picture, I still have them here somewhere. We bought 2 trucks the same day in 2004. One of the trucks looks like we just bought it, and the other truck is taken off the road because it's just rusted so bad. The truck that looks better has been garaged at the middle school. And part of the capital presentation that I've been making for many years was to put a garage here at the high school to house that equipment. And it was felt that it wasn't a viable investment or capital purchase. So if you're going to rehash old ideas, you're going to go back, we're gonna go buy brand new trucks, and they're gonna sit outside, and they're gonna have salt on them day and night, and they're just not going to be, the 10 years is going to be all you're gonna get out of them.
And I remember my first year, that was one of your proposals, was we needed the garage. And I assume after a while, you just got tired of bringing
Well,
it
I think, yeah, after about 10 years, it kind of happened. If you want to just pass those on to
What was the cost
Mr.
of
Bernard.
building that garage?
Back when we first proposed it, I believe it was somewhere around $100,000, $110,000, and it's escalated through the years. You know, if you're going to put a 2,500 square foot building up, I'm going to guesstimate we're probably somewhere in the 175, 185 range.
So again, we're really talking about a lot of ideas that need to have a larger discussion, which is the discussion that takes place during the budget process. Based on tonight's conversation, it makes sense to want to go with this contract, but do you want to, it's just not the, for such a big decision, I think it needs to be done in a budget process where you're not really faced with the potential snow like tomorrow. So I hate to vote on this type of 3-year deal today and not have the board fully explore the real long-term implications of going away from doing this service in-house and all of the costs. And that's why maybe, is this possible to do this contract on a 1-year basis and let the board explore in more detail the true long-term pros and cons of this?
You could put it back out, you'd have to put it back out, because there's a capital investment for whoever it takes, similar to our IT contract that we put out. If you put it out as a 3-year deal, they're expensing their capital over 3 years of anything they would have to add to their fleet. So if you made it just a 1-year deal, soup to nuts, you would have to ask, and I don't know if that's the point, but you'd have to ask that contractor if they need to bring any of that capital expense into the first year that they were assuming they could write off over 3 years of a contract. You know, they say he's got to go out and buy a $100,000 truck. He's got $30,000 a year in there. Now he needs to still buy that $100,000 truck. So you would have to either redo the RFP or again, I don't know if you can take it from a 3-year to a 1-year without putting it out again. If that changes,
I'm pretty sure the way the contract is written, I mean it would have to be failure of the contractor for performance, that we would be allowed to cancel the contract at that point.
Well, he's saying don't write a 3-year contract, change the contract to 1 year.
And allow the board to have full budget.
I think when we sent the RFP out, that was specifically in there, that we wanted these bids for a 3-year term. I think we would have to rebid the whole thing if we did something like that. Personally, I'll leave that out to the business manager.
Put it out again.